Hey folks, um, welcome to another Minister's Bullet. You have to forgive me, I'm a little under the weather, so I hope you can understand me well enough. I want to continue to look at verses in 1 Corinthians. We're in chapter 7, we're talking about marriage. In the last bullet, we looked at verses 3 and 4 and how both spouses must submit to the other. Marriage is a selfless union, it's not about you. And I want to move into verse 5 today and look at a verse that may be hard to take for some, but Paul puts it in here for a reason, and we're going to talk about that. Verse 5 of the 7th chapter, he says, "Do not deprive one another, except perhaps by agreement for a limited time, that you may devote yourselves to prayer. But then come together again, so that Satan may not tempt you because of your lack of self control." Now, what he's talking about here is the physical needs, the sexual needs. He's saying do not deprive your spouse of those needs. But really, it can go for any needs, emotional needs, spiritual needs, mental needs. Don't deprive your spouse of what he or she needs. And he gives a reason. He says because of your lack of self-control. What that means, sexual immorality. If your spouse is not getting his or her needs met in the marriage, then they're much more likely to look to get those needs met outside the marriage, and that's how adultery happens. And honestly, if most of the time in adultery and when marriages end in divorce or fall apart, if not always, it is because the needs were not being fulfilled within the marriage, and it, that's why he puts it in here. I know, at least I hear, it's common in a marriage for if one spouse is mad at the other, they will deprive them of sex. They're saying, no, I'm just not. I'm mad at you. Or they use it to manipulate the other spouse to get what they want. They're like, you're going to get this for me. You're going to do this, or you're not getting any sex. And Paul's saying, don't do that. Only take a break from sex by mutual agreement, is what he's saying here. It's just not wise, and for the reasons I said, if you're not getting your needs met, you're going to look outside of marriage to fulfill those needs. So yeah, an important concept to understand in marriage. Remember, you're not your own in marriage. You belong to your spouse, and you think of your spouse's needs first. You seek to fulfill those needs before you do your own. And if each spouse is thinking of the other and their needs first, then all both of your needs are going to get met. Yes, verse 5 here is talking about sexual needs in particular, but like I said, it can go for any kind of needs. It can go for your mental and intellectual needs, your spiritual needs, your emotional needs. Don't deny your spouse that. If you do, then you're just increasing the chances of that spouse going and looking to fulfill those needs outside of marriage.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and join and follow us on these platforms.